Hello there, fellow peasants. So tonight I'm going to be talking about cinematography and why it matters. So one of my favorite things about watching a movie, obviously, is how it looks. It's a picture. It's a moving image. And cinematography is very important. You want to get it down right. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's all subjective, but still at the same time, you know a really good shot when you see it. You know what I mean? When you watch some low grade, low budget films, you can just kind of tell it's cheap. They don't quite know how to move the camera right, where to set the camera. And I take notice of the cinematography in films. And sometimes that holds my attention, even if I'm not, let's say I'm not super into the story. Say I'm like 80% there, I'm not fully invested. Great cinematography, great camera work can keep me entertained or subconsciously make it appear that the film is better than it actually is. So, like, for example, I'm a nobody. I'm not even an independent film maker or anything like that. I just make cheap horror films with my cell phone and show them to my friends and stuff. But some of the films I have here on the channel, people have been like, "Oh, what'd you shoot that with?" or blah 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 blah. And even though I shoot a lot of my crappy movies for like $50 to $100, the way I angle the shots and things like that and color grade and the way I use the camera gives the appearance that the film is better than it is, more professional than it is. And so cinematography is very important. It's important because it's how you tell the story. It's whether you slowly pan in or you slowly pan out, or you do a crash zoom, or the camera just sits still, whether it's a wide shot, it's an up-close shot, an up-close shot, up close on the face, it means intimacy, it's shit serious, things are more serious, more intimate. Further away shots are more establishing shots, things aren't so involved. Two people are having a conversation, and slowly over the course of their conversation, the camera, as it's cutting back and forth between the characters, keeps getting closer and closer to their faces. It gives the illusion or the feeling of this is very serious, this is very intimate, this is, the further away the camera is in a situation like that, it doesn't feel as personal, it doesn't feel as much of an intimate situation. And so where the camera's at really decides how the audience feels. When you're using the camera, you're telling the audience how to feel. And so it's not so much just about how pretty it is, or how well, how good the picture looks, and how well it's framed. All that matters. But camera movement's very important too. But let's get into the film looking good. So the goal, when you're filming a movie, is to make sure you're conveying the story properly. And if you can tell the story properly and get it to look really nice all at the same time, that's great. Cinematography it's framing, it's color, it's lighting, it's angles, it's movement, it's other than the dialogue and the score in the film. The only thing, there's three major things that tell the story and sell you on what's being shown on the screen is the dialogue, you know, the camera movement, and the score. So cinematography, score, and the dialogue. Those are the three major components of how you're getting the story told to you. And can you have the two and not the other one be so good? Yeah, you can. But if you're nailing all three, if you have great dialogue, you have a great score, you have great camera movement, great cinematography, you're going to have a good film on your hands. You know what I mean? Because you're telling the story on all three cylinders. You're firing on all three cylinders while you're telling that story. Cinematography can make or break a film for me. I remember when I first watched... I like seeing things that are different. I'm a big fan of open, wide shots. If you watch any of the short films here on my channel, you'll notice that I really like wide open shots. I like zooming in slowly. I'm a big fan of wide open shots. And I think a lot of that comes from my inspiration for cinematography comes from Stanley Kubrick. It comes from John Carpenter, and who else? I would say I'd probably also model my stuff after probably maybe Wes Craven. It's mostly Stanley Kubrick and John Carpenter that I match my cinematography style from. But you know, I if I'm watching something and I go, wow, that's an interesting camera angle. Wow, that's a really interesting interesting place to put the camera. I'm sucked into the movie. I remember watching The Shining for the first time and being like, this is so weird. Like, I've never seen camera shots like this or editing like this, back and forth, and just the, you know, I like movies that are different. They look different. They try new stuff. The Shining's a really good example, like, of cinematography that really stuck with me the first time. The original Halloween stuck with me the first time. I didn't really like the film the first time I watched it. I thought it was a little bland and outdated. I've grown to appreciate the original Halloween more. But I just remember watching Halloween 78 the first time, and the nice wide open shots of Haddonfield, and I like John Carpenter's style, you know, his the way he likes to use the camera and stuff. And I get it. Dean Cundy is the cinematographer on most of John Carpenter's films. I'm giving too much credit to John Carpenter, really, but so I guess I really base my cinematography off of Dean Cundy's work, but you know, these are John Carpenter films. Anyway, something about those don't just look good, but they tell the story well. The way the camera moves, the way it looks, the way it's lit. It's the biggest component of whether a movie is good or not. It really is. Watching movies is obviously a visual experience. So you can have a great score, you can have great dialogue, but if your cinematographer is garbage and you're not putting the camera where it needs to be, and it doesn't look good, it doesn't look shot well, the movie's probably not going to do well. You know what I mean? Cinematography is the one thing I think you have to nail to have an excellent movie. You can have moderately bad dialogue. The score doesn't have to be great. But if the film doesn't look good, you're fucked. You know what I mean? I mean, you can literally give someone in film school, all of the materials that Stanley Kubrick had to shoot The Shining, right? The budget, the actors, the props, everything. They have everything except for the cinematographer, which I'm pretty sure Stanley Kubrick was behind the camera a lot. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but Stanley Kubrick got his little lens thing out and he looked around a lot and got the angles and stuff. But imagine The Shining being filmed by someone else holding that camera. It might not have... I'm going to probably say, I guarantee it would not be The Shining we have now. You know? And so I just want to kind of talk to you guys about this. It's something that's such a big factor in filmmaking, and it's glossed over a fair amount. Not so much by people like me or people who watch this channel, but just the average audience doesn't really appreciate what they take for granted, because they're like, well, I'm watching a TV show, I'm looking at something. No shit. Yeah, but you don't really think about what you're seeing, how the camera angles, the motion, the lighting, you know, all the angles, all that stuff factors in subconsciously into how the story's being relayed to you, how it makes you feel in that moment. And then when you top the score onto that and good dialogue, then you have a really good film at that point. I think people just take it for granted that, you know, they're watching something on a TV. It's not so much just in general what you're seeing, it's how are you seeing it? Why does that certain angle work better than others? If you were to see a very classic scene play out, like say, I'm trying to think of a famous scene from a movie. Okay, let's take for instance the exorcism scene at the end of The Exorcist. If that was shot differently from different angles, the editing was done differently, the lighting was done differently, the color grading was done differently. You know, if the camera work had been done differently, would it have been the same as it is now? Would it be as legendary as it is now? Now you could say maybe it'd be even better. Maybe someone else better would have done that scene. Well, maybe, but whoever did it, whoever shot that, whoever was the cinematographer on The Exorcist, it's their work that made it such a hit. It was a hit. It resonated with people because of the camera work, the angles, the zoom ins, the lighting, the color. So next time you watch a movie, don't just take for granted that you're just sitting there watching it and looking at it and all that. Just pay attention to how long it stays on a cut. Pay attention to the angle, how far away they are from the person or the building, whether it's a wide shot or an up close shot. You know, pay attention to that type of stuff, because I know people usually don't, but that's the stuff that makes the film what it is. And that's about it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and have a good night, peasants. Peace out. Bye-bye.